Why Blue Protocol will fail. Uh-oh.
Blue Protocol has some insanely massive gameplay problem, and unless Bandai Namco decide to address some of these, Blue Protocol is honestly just not in the greatest state right now. Many Japanese players are currently complaining about the exact same issues that I have also experienced in the endgame of Blue Protocol network test, with even this Japanese article saying that they currently do not recommend playing Blue Protocol in its current state. In fact, you can already observe one of the first issues on the screen right now. This game is very terribly optimized, especially in town. I'm currently running a 2070 Super, and I'm getting a whopping 10 FPS. No matter where I go. This is only one of the major problems that we'll uncover.
I mean, not no matter where you go, because now it's working fine. But like I have a 1080 or 2080 Ti and like my gaming PC, and mine was fine.
In today's video, hey, I'm Tenten, and this is my honest review of Blue Protocol network test after playing it for a long period of time. As a RPG, Blue Protocol felt a lot more like Monster Hunter compared to traditional RPG like Final Fantasy XIV Online or Lost Ark. The main gear progression in the game involved having you collecting rare material either through monsters, boss drop in the dungeons, or open world harvesting to get those rare material, and then you can craft the next level of weapon or item to advance your characters. Combat in Blue Protocol is rather straightforward. Every single class comes with a normal attack, which is your left click, an identity skill, which is your right click, and finally an ultimate ability. In addition to that, you can choose 4 skills to equip at any given moment, in addition to 2 summon, also known as a magi, to accompany you in combat, for a total of 6 ability plus an ultimate, and then your normal attack and your identity. In addition to that, you can also perform a dodge action by using the control button on your keyboard. That will perform your dodge roll, which as far as a plus as a magi to...
Was this the guy that I shared the account with? Didn't the guy that I shared the account with have this exact same character? I didn't get this guy banned, did I? Wait a second. No fucking way. Blue Protocol devs, IP ban Stoops and other foreigners. This account was... Oh god, there's no way, right? I mean, there's gotta be like, I mean, maybe this one has pink ears, this one has orange ears. Yeah, the eyes are different colors. Okay, it's a different Huntress cat girl. Never mind, guys, never mind.
Accompany you in combat for a total of 6 ability plus an ultimate, and then your normal attack and your identity. In addition to that, you can also perform a dodge action by using the control button on your keyboard. That will perform your dodge roll, which as far as I know is an iframe. My main complaint when it comes down to Blue Protocol combat is that for the majority of the time, you're just going to be spamming your normal attack. Your 4 ability doesn't really have the sense of rotation or combo. They don't really tie into each other in any meaningful way, so you kind of just toss them out whenever they're off cooldown. But on top of just having low interactive skills and the fact that you only have 4 skills, some of these skills just have really long cooldown. Some of the skill in the...
Yeah, I feel like some of the skills do have a cooldown that's like, why would the game be better if the cooldowns were like half as much as they are now? And also, like, the problem is that because people are only able to play up to level 20, we don't really know if these problems will solve themselves whenever the game gets to a higher level.
Game have 55-second cooldown, your summon or your imagi generally have a minute to a minute 30-second cooldown, and finally your ultimate ability have a 200-second cooldown. The end result is that you're just going to be spamming normal attack majority of the time. How much skill expansion is there? Right there yet? Nope.
There it is. It's
to be fair though, I was probably playing the lowest effort class in the game. If you're playing something like Mage, then you actually have a energy meter that you have to manage, plus Mages is a lot more spammable, and if you're playing a melee class in a higher level dungeon, then you have to involve a lot more by watching the enemy attack and start dodging. There's also an elemental damage system in the game which you can observe under the boss HP bar, which is currently infected with the Earth status. When you eventually fill up the entire bar, the boss will get staggered, which allows you to get free DPS. As far as I know, there's no elemental reaction system in Blue Protocol unlike games like Genshin Impact, and it's mostly primarily only used for debuffing the bosses. For what it's worth though, you can change your class at any time on the same character in Brute Protocol by equipping the corresponding weapon for that class. You have to level each class separately, similar to Final Fantasy XIV, but it is possible.
I'm very much a fan of this, where you can play the same character and do different things on it. I like that way more than having alts. I think I fucking hate having alts in WoW. I hate having alts in not Final Fantasy because you don't need it. Lost Ark. Yeah, I like how in New World, right? You don't have alts in New World. That's great.
Possible to play every single class on the same character, so if you ever get bored of one class, you could always look to switch to a different class and try it out.
There you go.
Regardless, having low involvement in combat is one of the biggest complaints I've seen on the Japanese player side, since you only get 4 ability, with some having a really long cooldown regardless of what class you're playing or what dungeon you're doing. But we have a much bigger problem to uncover with Brute Protocol. What dungeon you're doing.
So like I wish that like this would start as like this circle would be small and then it would get larger to indicate how much time you have to move out of the circle.
But we have a much bigger problem to uncover with Brute Protocol. The gear progression system.
Okay.
The gear system in Brute Protocol involves your primary weapon and then 2 summons that you can use in battle, also known as Imagi, and then finally 5 insignia, which is your armor slot. Each of these items will contribute to your battle score, which is how you progress in the game.
Sure.
If you play Brute Protocol normally by following the main story quest, within the first 2 hours of your gameplay, eventually you're gonna hit this church, which is your first major progression wall. When you first unlock the church dungeon by following the main story quest, it is very likely that you'll be at level 6 or level 7 with
like
maybe
mobs.
200 battle score. But the church dungeon demand you to be level 12-ish, as well as a 700 battle score, which is an extreme jump from where you are at the main story quest, with no clear indication of how to actually progress your gear to that point of the game.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, this will be the biggest cause of Brute Protocol failure, is because many players would drop out of the game at this point, since the gear progression wall is just way too huge, even within the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah, I think that's way too much, like having to do that much farming. Like I think the amount of like grinding you have to do in Brute Protocol is too high. Too much grinding.
Definitely, when the game eventually do get released on America, I will be making videos and guide on how to get past some of these major barriers. So if you're new here and you're enjoying the video, consider subscribing to not miss out on future video, and maybe also leave a like for the YouTube algorithm as well.
Spend money? No, you can't.
Let's start off with leveling your own character.
It's not pay to win. It sucks.
Leveling your character in this game is extremely slow. Side quests are really tedious, but doesn't give a lot of EXP. Dungeon run can net you a okay amount of EXP, but they're extremely long. So
I think that this game is trying to focus on being like an online world more than just being like a video game that you progress through. Similar to like, I mean, World of Warcraft it's an online world, but it's like mainly like you're going from one thing to another. And I do think Brute Protocol has a lot of great social features, like holding hands and like stupid little things like that. But I don't think it has enough to be a completely immersive social experience. Like, it doesn't have guild halls. It doesn't have, I don't think it has player housing. Maybe it does. I don't know where it is. And I think also the character customization is not comprehensive enough for people to feel like that's who they are.
The most efficient way to get EXP, hunting groups. You're gonna acquire majority of your EXP simply by killing monsters, and one of the most efficient way to do that is to simply find a hunting spot where there's really good mob spawn, and you just basically kill everything on site. You only have to hit the mob once in order to get credit, which gives you the drop as well as EXP. So often you'll find a bunch of players sitting at really popular spot, fighting over monsters and just killing everything.
And I don't have a problem really with this, and the thing is, like, but I know that I'm like kind of the minority. I'll grind mobs all day. I don't give a fuck. Like, dude, I was like, if you ever played Black Desert Online, if I logged in, I was on the leaderboard for levels. Bro, I have no problem killing mobs. Not an issue.
It's like, in comparison, quests in this game feel extremely unrewarding and tedious. You often find multiple quests that ask you for the exact same thing, such as killing 20 enemy or collecting 20 flower in this zone. I can literally find 3 to 4 quests that's asking for the exact same thing, and you feel like you're doing the same shit again. This one, collect 30 material from...
This reminds me of New World. Remember, like, whenever New World came out and everybody was just spamming town board missions because of how bad the quests were? So it was like, go out and get 200 iron. Okay, good job. Go out and get 200 wood. You got that? All right, guess what we need now? That's right, more iron.
This place. And then the next quest, come back and ask, hey, can you collect 10 more at the exact same places, exact same shit? And you collect 10 more. Here. 30 more. And you can see how this one I haven't done yet, because I already collected like 40, 50. Yeah, I already collected like 40, 50. And then this quest pop up, I'm like, hey, can you actually do the exact same shit you just did again? Go back to the same place, do the exact same thing, collect 30 more from me. And you have to do it because this gives you the recipe for whatever this insignia is. This water bottle.
I also think that in New World it was a lot more tolerable. This is, you know, contextually. It was a lot more tolerable because the grinding in New World was better. It was a lot better. Like, you were able to just go in and do whatever the fuck you wanted. Like, what do you call it? Not grinding, even. The gathering. Like, it felt good to cut down trees. It felt good to, like, mine ore. But with Blue Protocol, it doesn't feel good. The gathering system, I think, is one of the weakest elements of the game. It's awful. It's worse than Lost Ark.
The world outside Ignia. Right, and it just feels really chorely. It feels really chorely.
Oh, it is. It's
leveling is actually the easy part of the progression. Obtaining new gear that will increase your battle score is the real difficulty when it comes down to the game. Obtaining rare material and crafting newer and better gear is the way you progress your gear in Brute Protocol, and these could be extremely tedious to get. Some of these rare material might come from few bosses that spawn after a certain amount of random interval, and you just gotta be there when it does spawn and hope there are a lot of people there as well to kill these bosses, because they do take a long time to kill. Other time, it would just ask for rare material that drop from regular monsters. In this case on the screen, I'm looking for 3 goblins' hair. These material have extremely low drop rate, which is again why you see hunting group just going around and hitting every single monsters, because everybody is looking for these kind of rare material, and of course you need multiple of them. These drop are actually by name as well, meaning that you have to hit the right goblin at the right place to get the right drop. Other goblin, such as Elderly Goblin, which is the red goblin on the screen, does not actually count. It dropped a different material.
I feel like that's probably going to get fixed. But, like, yeah, that seems really cheesy.
It doesn't contribute to whatever you're crafting. At the very least, when you're hunting for a rare monster drop, you're still somewhat playing the game and you're still getting EXP, so you're progressing in some kind of way.
It's like, you know, like Classic WoW had this, and it's like you kill 10 Murlocs and you need 10 Murloc heads and you have 0 Murloc heads. And whenever you finish the quest in 3 days, you have killed 173 Murlocs. And now the quest is green and it doesn't give you as much experience because you've leveled up just by killing Murlocs.
Main problem of Brute Protocol is the harvesting RNG. Other than asking for rare material from either bosses or few monsters, it could also ask for rare material from pure harvesting. And the way you get these rare harvesting material is simply by running across the entire map, collecting every single node you see across, and praying at every single one of them that it is going to drop the one you need, with, and again, an extremely low drop chance. You see all these nodes in front of me, right? These are like resource harvest spot. And basically, like, you just have to go through each one of them and harvest every single one of them. And each one of them has like a 1% chance of being the grass you need, and then you need like 10 of them. So you end up just running around the entire map, gathering grass. That is the entire game of Brute Protocol, bro. The low drop rate on rare material is by far the #1 biggest complaint when it comes down to the Brute Protocol network test, especially considering that these nodes are really spread apart and they respawn really slowly, making your entire experience just running across the entire map and collecting grass. Because of the way
I think that's kind of cheesy. I've always preferred... I think that having some goals like that in games is okay. Actually, I kind of like that sometimes. But, like, it's too much. Too much. Way too much. I think good gear should come from doing hard dungeons. Imagine that.
Gear progression work in this game, it is almost mandatory that you do this and just start collecting grass at some point of the game. This is because in order for you to vertically advance your character, you must first advance your character horizontally. In order for you to obtain the next tier of weapon in the game, you have to craft it. Say for example, the level 10 thunder weapon, you have to obtain a bunch of rare material through the same process, but most importantly, beat the corresponding dungeon, in this case the 270 battle score dungeon, to obtain the boss material drop.
Okay.
But in order for you to get from 200 battle score to 270 battle score, you have to advance your character horizontally by improving your imagi or improving your insignia.
I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I actually think that a game that focuses more on horizontal content might be a more holistic MMO than one that just focuses on leveling as fast as possible. Same with Lost Ark. Yeah, but the difference with Lost Ark is that you're never gated by how many masterpieces you have. Like whenever you're leveling up. You're never gated by like how many Mokokos you have or how many Omnium stars you have. That's not until way later on.
The game kind of guide you through how to obtain each one of them.
It's not like there's a quest like, oh, you can't go to Phaeton or you can't go to Rohandel or fucking like, I don't know, Punica, Yorn. You can't go to one of these places because you don't have 230 Mokoko seats. Oh, you don't have it? Yeah, you can't start the quest.
Adventure book, and by completing the adventure book, it is most likely that you have the material to craft the next level of the insignia or even give you the recipe. But again, each one of these quests are extremely tedious and involve asking you to, say, collect a bunch of rare material, and you end up just going around and harvesting and doing the exact same thing over and over. Overall, it feels like you're just doing a bunch of meaningless shit, especially with how low the drop rate is, to have a chance to progress your character.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that until you get the next weapon, your character doesn't really do more damage, so you might be fighting harder and harder enemy to get those rare drop, but your character doesn't do more damage to help you kill them. I'll make a separate video diving deeper into the huge progression wall problem with Brew Protocol, but in my very honest personal opinion, this
I think also like one element that this creates, this is like a meta thing, is that eventually they will nerf this. They will make it easier, and then whenever they make it easier, all of the people that grinded it earlier on will feel like their time doesn't matter because they just had their time. Like, you know, you have to spend I don't know, like fucking 200 hours farming for this, and then they nerf it, and now you only have to spend like 5. And like then these people feel like their time got wasted. Why did we have to do this? Well, why don't they have to do it? Like, it's not fair, and it just creates a lot of fucking drama. So yeah, that's another problem I think that this kind of stuff creates, is that it will get nerfed eventually, and then it creates bad social structure like issues whenever that happens.
With the fact that you are just grinding against low drop rate will be the #1 cause of Brew Protocol failing ultimately. I
don't think that's going to cause the game to fail, personally. I really don't think so, as long as it happens late enough into the game for people to already be invested into it. If it happens right off the rip, then yeah, people are probably going to lose interest, but people still play Classic WoW and they farm for stupid shit constantly. So I don't think it's really that. I think that what really is going to matter is that people will stick it out if the raid content is good and the end game progression is good. That's what really matters.
Brew Protocol would be a game with really high potential. The world looked really amazing, the aesthetic looked really cool, and the end game, while it is simple, does get the job done. It'll be a really cool friend to play with your friends. And I still plan on making content on this game in the future, so again, stay tuned. Alright, hold on. Future me here. As I was approaching the end of editing this video, looked like the director has already made comment about some of these issues that I talked about in this video.
What is it?
And of course, many player feedback as well. So that's how you know it was legit. Many player was complaining the same thing that I was complaining in this video, right? So noticeably here, he say, personally, I definitely want to improve the adventure board, which is really repetitive, the drop rate, which is one of the biggest complaint I have throughout the video, and the gathering aspect of Brew Protocol, or what I like to call touch grass aspect. So now you know that every single thing that I complained about was legit and it was definitely a issues. But fortunately, they're looking to address it. Originally,
it seems like the guys that are making this game actually want to make the game good. Like everything that I've seen from the development team of Blue Protocol seems like just some dudes really trying to make a good game. Like that's it.
I was gonna make a segment here about how if they don't address it, then Blue Protocol will fail because people don't really like that amount of grind. But it looked like they're already looking into it, so maybe we're safe. Anyway, yeah. This video only briefly covered the problem with the progression system as well as the combat system, and doesn't really show a lot of the other stuff that Blue Protocol has to offer. And so if you'd like me to showcase those as well, let me know it in the comment below. But I feel like this is definitely one of the biggest and the most important thing to talk about, since these are things that nobody else has been talking about, as you don't really observe these in the trailers or in the gameplay footage that they provide to you and stuff like that. So yeah. That is pretty much it for this video, and as always, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time.
Alright. I think that's pretty fair. I think that obviously is it gonna kill Blue Protocol if these things weren't in the game? I don't really know, but I think that it will make a lot of people not interested in it. So yeah, definitely glad that the developers are paying attention to it and keeping up with it. I actually don't find it to be a problem that there's horizontal content requirements in the game. I don't think it's a big deal at all, but it just depends on like how those horizontal content requirements actually fill into real gameplay. Like that's what the main thing is. Like how do they really, like, do you have to farm a bunch of bullshit basically? Because if you have to do that, people probably aren't going to enjoy it as much. This game's focused too much on being a Genshin wannabe. I think it's just the style of graphics. That's probably about where things begin and end in terms of, you know, the similarities with Genshin. At least that's what I would say.